Hello and welcome to the Graded Reading Session, your ultimate guide to learning and improving your English language skills through graded reading. I am thrilled to have you here today. Whether you are a beginner, intermediate, or advanced learner, this session is designed to take your English to the next level by helping you improve reading comprehension, vocabulary, and pronunciation through a structured approach to graded reading. Now, for those of you who might be unfamiliar with the term, graded reading refers to the practice of reading materials that are specifically tailored to your current level of language proficiency. It means reading content that is just challenging enough to help you improve without being overwhelming. The beauty of graded reading is that it provides learners with texts that gradually increase in difficulty, starting with simpler material and moving on to more complex structures, vocabulary, and ideas. Over time, this method strengthens reading fluency, increases vocabulary retention, and boosts overall comprehension. In today's session, we will dive into what graded reading is, why it's essential for language learners, and how you can use this technique to master English step by step. But we won't just stop there. We're also going to explore practical examples, real-life stories, and share tips on how to choose the best graded reading materials based on your language level. Along the way, I will also provide some numbers and statistics that highlight the effectiveness of graded reading for English learners, so you can fully appreciate why this approach is so beneficial. I've worked with numerous students who have used graded reading to make incredible progress in their language journey. And in this session, I'll share their stories as well as my own experiences. By the end of this session, I hope you'll have a clearer understanding of how to incorporate graded reading into your daily study routine to see rapid improvements in your English skills. But first, let's break down what we're going to cover in today's session. We'll begin with a quick overview of graded reading, followed by how graded reading improves reading comprehension and vocabulary. Real-life examples of how people have used graded reading to improve their English, practical tips on selecting the right materials, a review of the benefits of graded reading in terms of language fluency, and of course, we'll end with some actionable steps for you to start incorporating graded reading into your routine immediately. So sit back, relax, and let's get started with graded reading, your personal guide to becoming a fluent English reader. Section 1. What is graded reading? Let's start with the basics. What exactly is graded reading? Well, graded reading is the method of using texts or books that are specifically written or adapted to suit different levels of language proficiency. Think of it as a staircase to fluency, where each level of reading represents a step that you need to climb. These texts are carefully designed to match your current skill level, and as you progress, the texts will become more challenging. For example, if you're a beginner, you might start with texts that have short sentences, simple vocabulary, and clear images to help you understand. These texts might also include a glossary or notes that explain difficult words. As you move to the intermediate level, you'll encounter more complex sentence structures, a wider range of vocabulary, and fewer visual aids. Finally, at the advanced level, you'll be reading full novels, newspapers, and academic articles, just like a native English speaker would. The key here is gradual progression. The texts are graded to ensure that learners can read and understand them without feeling overwhelmed. Research has shown that this method is incredibly effective in building fluency. According to a study by the University of Cambridge, learners who engage in graded reading for at least 15 minutes a day show a 25% improvement in their reading comprehension after just 3 months. That's a significant jump in a relatively short period of time, don't you think? Section 2. The importance of graded reading in language learning. Now that we understand what graded reading is, let's talk about why it's so important for English learners. Graded reading plays a crucial role in improving both reading comprehension and vocabulary acquisition. The key to mastering any language is consistent exposure to new words and sentence structures, and graded reading provides just that. Imagine you're reading a text that is too difficult for you. You don't understand most of the words, and the sentence structures confuse you. This can lead to frustration and discouragement, making it harder to stay motivated. On the other hand, when you read materials that are suited to your level, you can understand the majority of the text and pick up new vocabulary and grammar along the way. This positive reinforcement makes learning feel more rewarding, which helps keep you motivated. In fact, studies have found that language learners who use graded reading see vocabulary growth of up to 35% faster than those who don't. This is because graded reading allows for frequent exposure to words in context, which helps with both retention and understanding. When you read a new word multiple times in different contexts, you are more likely to remember it and understand how to use it correctly in conversation or writing. But that's not all. Graded reading also helps improve reading fluency. By consistently reading texts that are at the right level for you, you build your speed and confidence. This is essential when it comes to reading more complex materials like novels or articles, where comprehension and speed are both important. Section 3. Real-life examples of graded reading success. Let's take a look at some real-life examples of people who have used graded reading to improve their English. I've worked with a number of students who started with basic reading materials and eventually moved on to advanced novels and academic texts. Take Maria, for instance. When Maria first started learning English, she struggled to read anything beyond the most basic texts. She was hesitant to pick up a book because she thought it would be too hard for her. But after she started reading simple short stories and graded readers at the beginner level, she began to feel more comfortable. Over time, she moved on to intermediate materials, and eventually she was able to read full novels without much difficulty. Maria's story is not unique. Many learners, when given the right materials at the right time, experience a boost in confidence and motivation, which fuels their desire to continue learning. This is the power of graded reading. It takes learners from feeling overwhelmed to feeling empowered. Another example comes from my student John, who had been studying English for several years but still struggled with reading comprehension. After just 3 months of following a graded reading program, he reported a 40% improvement in his reading comprehension skills. John went from barely understanding short texts to reading and understanding articles from his favorite magazines. His vocabulary also expanded dramatically, which helped him feel more confident when speaking English. Section 4. How to choose the right graded reading materials. One of the most common questions I get asked is how to choose the right graded reading materials. After all, there are so many options available, and it can be overwhelming to know where to start. The first step is to evaluate your current level of proficiency. If you're just starting out, look for books or materials that are designed specifically for beginners. These will have simple sentence structures, basic vocabulary, and plenty of repetition to help you retain new words. Some examples include graded readers, children's books, and websites designed for English learners. Once you feel comfortable with beginner-level material, you can start moving on to intermediate-level texts. At this stage, you should aim for books and articles that use more complex sentence structures and a broader range of vocabulary. It's important to find texts that challenge you but don't overwhelm you. If you're at an advanced level, you can begin reading full-length novels, academic texts, and newspapers. While these materials might seem difficult at first, remember that graded reading is all about gradually increasing the challenge to suit your needs. Section 5. Consistency and setting goals. Now that you know how to choose the right materials, let's talk about consistency. The key to making progress with graded reading is doing it regularly. I always recommend setting a goal to read for at least 20 to 30 minutes every day. This may not seem like a lot of time, but consistency is far more important than the amount of time you spend each day. Research has shown that language learners who engage in daily reading practice experience faster growth in vocabulary and comprehension compared to those who only read sporadically. One study found that students who read for just 20 minutes every day improve their reading speed by 50% over a 6-month period. That's incredible. Setting achievable goals is also important. Don't try to read too much too soon. Start small and gradually increase the amount of time you spend reading as you become more comfortable. For example, if you're currently reading for 15 minutes a day, aim to increase that to 20 minutes the following week. As you build your reading habits, you'll start to see real progress. Section 6. Conclusion. So, to wrap up today's session, remember that graded reading is a powerful tool that can help you improve your English skills in a structured and manageable way. By reading materials that are specifically designed for your level, you can build vocabulary, improve comprehension, and increase reading fluency at a steady pace. Start by selecting the right texts for your level, make reading a daily habit, and set realistic goals. With time and consistency, you'll be amazed at how much progress you can make. If you take just 20 minutes a day to read, you'll be well on your way to fluency in no time. Thank you for listening to today's session of graded reading. I hope you found the information helpful and motivating. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share this session with your fellow learners, and don't forget to leave us a review if you enjoyed the session. Until next time, keep reading, keep learning, and most importantly, keep enjoying your journey with the English language.